This Raw was explosive in the sense that it delivered exactly what you would expect after a PLE like SummerSlam. I would actually go as far as to call it one of the best Raws we've seen in a long time. The episode starts off strong with Ludwig Kaiser introducing Gunther as the new World Heavyweight Champion. There is a mix of boos and cheers because Gunther is the type of wrestler who we need to acknowledge has real skill inside the ring. So we can't really hate him other than his pompous attitude. He gives a powerful promo where he talks about his vision for the future. He challenges anyone and everyone, and suddenly Randy Orton comes out, which was unexpected since he is part of the SmackDown brand. He reminds Gunther of his unfair victory against him to become the king of the ring, and how he spoke to Triple H about it, making him the first deserving opponent against Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. It's a man-to-man promo that ends without any violence. They both agree on a match at Bash at Berlin PLE. So the first match of the evening was Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. An overall good match with Ludwig putting up a good fight in terms of hanging in there. Pete Dunne interrupts to try and attack Sheamus, but Sheamus manages to kick him out of the way and ultimately still manages to win against Ludwig. We then have a nice little video of the Wyatt Six history. After that, Damian Priest comes out to the ring in full force, ready to call out Finn Balor and settle things once and for all. This is something we were expecting, considering what happened at SummerSlam. I was looking forward to this. Finn obviously does not come out, and instead we see a video where Finn talks about how Damian is the problem and betrayed the team. He says how he doesn't fight people from the streets, and how instead he will stab Damian in the back repeatedly. The camera pulls back to reveal JD McDonough, Carlito, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan. So they are all together as one team. Priest storms up the aisle to go hunting. I really enjoy how this track is moving forward. Damian is now a true babyface with all his previous buddies against him, except Rhea Ripley, of course. More on that later. We then have Lyra Valkyria versus Shayna Baszler, which ends with a disqualification, all thanks to Zoe Stark getting involved. I, for one, am not really into this. Post-match, there is a beatdown, but then Damage Control runs in to clear out the villains. In other words, Damage Control seems to be taking a face turn. I find that to be interesting. Okay, now we have CM Punk coming out to the ring, surprisingly quite happy despite his loss at SummerSlam. He hypes up the crowd with a stellar promo, which is not a surprise, and calls out Drew McIntyre for a proper one-on-one match. We all know that's not gonna happen. Right when I predicted that Seth Rollins will probably come out, his music hits. But it's not the usual animated Seth Rollins that we're used to. He has a fairly serious face and just walks into the ring as he takes off his top, ready to face CM Punk. After a little back and forth, they get ready to face each other. However, this is when Drew enters from the side of the arena, standing amongst the crowd. He is clearly a happy man due to his victory. He gives his usual witty promo, which both Punk and Seth try to ignore. But then Drew reminds Punk of his bracelet with his dog and wife's name on it. This is too much for Punk, who then rushes into the audience to chase Drew McIntyre. This is when the unexpected happens, literally out of the blue. Bronson Reed jumps Seth Rollins from behind and absolutely destroys him. By destroy, I mean he splashes onto him 6 times from the top of the turnbuckle. Even as security tries to control him, he just goes back up, jumps, goes back up, jumps. Seth starts bleeding from his mouth and is taken to a nearby hospital. One can expect him to be out of action perhaps for a few weeks at least. This was the most unexpected part of the show, actually. Then we have 2 matches back-to-back, with some backstage segments in between, hyping a JD McDonough versus Damian Priest match later in the night. That's the type of match where we know the story plus drama is more exciting than the match itself. Anyways, before that we have the Authors of Pain versus the New Day. The New Day pick up the win after an okay match, but pretty cool ending with the new monster on the block, who goes by the name of Odyssey Jones. That moment was pretty awesome, considering I'm not very invested in the entire New Day Authors of Pain rivalry. Then we have Awesome Truth versus A-Town Down Under. It was another okay match. Seems like Miz Truth team may split at some point. Finally, we reach Damian Priest versus JD McDonough, where I for one was more interested in what will happen during the match and post-match from a story perspective. The match itself was fun, since it was great to see Damian giving JD a nice beating. Obviously, Finn gets involved, ending the match in a disqualification. This was expected. Then the rest of the gang, including Liv Morgan, join hands. But Damian still puts up a good fight. When it's just Damian, Dom, and Liv in the ring, Rhea's music hits and the crowd goes wild. Not surprisingly, Liv and Dom try to make a run for it, but Rhea catches up just in time to grab Liv. It was fun to see Liv receive a nice little beating after all that we've witnessed. Rhea was about to throw Liv through the announcer's table when Dom grabs Liv from behind and runs to safety along with her. But it's still not done. Damian and JD McDonough are still going at it in the ring. Rhea comes from behind, and this moment was epic. You need to see it to believe it. You need to know what I mean. Rhea is a certified badass. The duo of Rhea and Damian is gonna be wild. Now it's the main event. The Wyatt Six versus Chad Gable and the Creed brothers. I'm just going to say that this was incredible. The match itself was stellar considering the moves of the Wyatt Six gang, which were very unique. Being presented as a supernatural gang, it is necessary to showcase them differently. And in terms of the movesets, I feel they have truly delivered. I just wonder if we are ever going to get to a stage similar to their debut, which was a bloodbath. That really hyped things. Overall though, I'm enjoying this track as well, but the fear of it running out of steam still exists. Overall, this was a rocking episode of Raw. There were a couple segments which could have individually ended two individual episodes of Raw, but both the segments happened during one episode of Raw. Something tells me that if a new person unfamiliar with the WWE were to watch SummerSlam and then this episode of Raw, they would be hooked to the WWE. This is how it should be, but I understand it can't always be like this. Anyways, guys, that's that. Things are truly heating up in the world of the WWE. Please do subscribe. Until next time, peace out. Bye.